welcome to everyone and Happy New Year's to you. We will be having the invocation this evening from Dr. William Hill, chaplain with the Clayton County Police Department. Will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would, please stand with me.
Let us bow our heads. Gracious God, our eternal Father, we thank you for your love, your grace, and your mercy. We thank you for carrying us over from last year to this year, all the new things, this new beginning, a new year, and fresh start that you have in store for us. Pray that you will guide and govern the hands and hearts of all who are in attendance at tonight's meeting, all the items on the agenda, that they will be carefully deliberated and discussed. And that, Father, we pray for these Board of Commissioners and for their families and for the community at large. And we pray that this year will be the best year for Clayton County and in times to come. This is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening to everyone. Prior to the adoption of the agenda, I would ask the board if any members would like to offer any amendments.
Madam Clerk, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we amend our agenda to include these two resolutions before you pertaining to our lobbyists in the upcoming legislative session and our slate agenda. These were prepared by the county's legal department.
Is there a second to that motion?
I second that. I'm sorry. I know it was a motion.
Probably moved in second. Those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? It's unanimous.
Are there any other amendments? Hearing none.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I have a flu, so let me just say that. I'm a little slow today. Mr. Chairman, we have appointments for the MARTA board. I know. We've had this discussion, so she knows. Consideration, I'd like for us to remove that from the agenda this evening.
Which item?
I'll second.
About
Which
the
item was that?
appointment to the MARTA board.
All right, it's properly moved in second. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Are there any other amendments?
You got to turn toward the chairman.
With the,
Turn toward the chairman now when you call.
with the addition of a resolution authorizing Clayton County to amend its professional services agreement with Georgia Public Affairs, LLC, providing for the terms and conditions under which lobbyist services will be rendered to the county, as well as a resolution by the Clayton County Board of Commissioners identifying certain state legislative matters to be addressed during the 2015 legislative session of the Georgia General Assembly, as well as the removal of items 34 and 35, which are the MARTA board appointments. That's items number 34 and 35 on page 7. With those amendments, I would ask for a motion to adopt the agenda.
Is there a motion?
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
Properly moved in second by Commissioner Edmondson. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Approval of the December 16, 2014 regular business meeting minutes.
Is there a motion? I'll make the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Properly moved in second. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
We will now have public comments. Mr. Chairman, it appears that we do have 2 individuals listed for public comment.
Dr. Henry Anderson.
Good evening, all. In 2015, I'm going to present issues and problems before you to solve. When I bring these issues and problems before you, I will have facts, visible proof. I will have newspaper articles, So I will have proof, so it won't be any question about it. My expectation is that these problems will be addressed and solved, because in the month of July, after you have passed your budget, as you know, I've already started my evaluation process. I will evaluate each and every one individually starting July. So this is why I will have factual proof about what I will bring, so it won't be no ifs, ands, or any type of questions. I'm going to present some of that now. Commissioner Attorney Judge Ms. Shana Rooks. In the month of November, there was splash work done on Mundy's Mill Road from the point that it starts at Terra Boulevard to Highway 54. I sent an email to you on Tuesday, April 15th, we had a wonderful talk about my concerns about how I support Splash. But I feel that when you give Splash contracts out to the companies, that Clayton County is viewed as second rate. You have shown by your openness in providing records, we play close to half of $1 billion in splash contracts. But when these contractors come to Clayton County, instead of building quality, they build, in my opinion, substandard work. Their workmanship, craft is inferior and flawed. I did this email to you on April 15th. I didn't get a response, but I'm going to forward all of this email to you because of this situation. Splash work was done on Mundy's Mill Road. Now, Director Matarco may tell you that the area that they have not finished, but when they do arrows to turn into the subdivisions, they lay down the outline, but they did not paint over it. The trucks and things are gone, so they paved the road, but it's incomplete. This is visible proof. If you drive down Mundy's Mill, you will see it. The arrows, the turn arrows into the subdivisions where they put the schools, because you have Mundy's Mill School, has not been filled in with paint. The trucks are gone. That's visible proof. Now, we had good weather, so I know the excuse might be we didn't have the weather, but no, we had good weather. They are gone. Splash work, that's unacceptable and inexcusable, and I want to point it out, visible proof. I'm also going to point out, Commissioner, Ms. Gail Hamburg, you in the minutes, I saw you had concerns with the library issuing computers. Commissioner Attorney Judge Ms. Shana Rooks, I just wanted to let you know I sent an email to you. Now, you did respond because you sent it to Rosalind Lett about, this is April 16th, which I will forward. I'm writing to inform you the ongoing problems with the computer systems, how the computer systems go out. This is April 16th. The problem had been going on for 3 months, so my time is ending, but it's been going on for 3 months, and I just want to let you know it's been going on a year. So that's two of the issues that are provable, and I just wanted to point that out, and I will be forwarding you the emails because I sent it to Vice Chairwoman Rooks and Chairman Turner. So thank you.
Miyoshi Bourget.
Greetings and Happy New Year. I'm before you again tonight. We have MARTA coming to this county, and I am excited. And I'm excited because it will bring economic development. In fact, there was a study that showed that people who have access to transit have equal opportunities for employment that's almost equal to getting a college degree. Now that's amazing. For us to have passed MARTA in this county, to bring that kind of opportunity to people, that kind of access, is outstanding and forward-thinking. Now that we have MARTA, we also have to have economic development in order to support it. And business matters in Clayton County and to our economy and to the quality of life for me as a resident. Clayton County's Economic Development Office will soon be without a permanent director. And now that MARTA is coming to Clayton County, we want to ensure that our Director of Economic Development is able to take advantage of all of the opportunities that MARTA will bring. We want a director with a proven track record who has strategic alliances that will enable him or her to broaden the business base in Clayton County. We want a director who is skilled at identifying and leveraging new retail and industrial opportunities and who will aggressively recruit them to relocate in Clayton County, with the goal of making our county attractive as a destination for shopping, work, and play. We want a director who is willing to forge partnerships with officials both at the state and the federal level to ensure that Clayton County has every strategic economic advantage available. We want someone who is experienced, who is willing to live in this county, who has a vested interest, and who has a positive and uncompromising vision for what our county can become. Clayton County has a lot to offer. We have all outstanding assets in this county. Both assets come from water, from property, and we have properties within this county that can be redeveloped into an attractive destination for new homeowners, for new shoppers, as well as new employers. As a stakeholder in this community, I strongly suggest that we conduct an open, a fair, and comprehensive search for a qualified economic development director who meets these criteria so that we can be about the business of economic growth in this county. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk.
We want to have a proclamation recognizing the 26th anniversary of the Pi Gamma Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity, Inc. Will the representatives please come forward as the commissioners step down from their seats at the table?
Thank you so much. I sure will.
Please remain standing for the reading of the proclamation. Before I read the proclamation, the Board of Commissioners extends condolences to the Brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity, Inc. with the loss of this week of two members, Senator Edward Brooke and ESPN sportscaster Stuart Scott. And the proclamation reads thusly: whereas, since founding on December 4th, 1906, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity, Inc. has supplied voice and vision to the struggle of African Americans and people of color around the world. Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity, Inc., the first intercollegiate Greek letter fraternity established for African Americans, was founded at Cornell University in Ithaca, New York, by 7 college men who recognized the need for a strong bond of brotherhood among African descendants in this country. The visionary founders, known as the jewels of the fraternity, are Henry Arthur Callis, Charles Henry Chapman, Eugene Kinkle Jones, George Bedell Kelly, Nathaniel Allison Murray, Robert Harold Ogle, and Verner Woodson Tandy. The fraternity initially served as a study and support group for minority students who face racial prejudice, both educationally and socially, at Cornell. The jewel founders and early leaders of the fraternity succeeded in laying a firm foundation for Alpha Phi Alphas, principles of scholarship, fellowship, good character, and the uplifting of humanity. And whereas Alpha Phi Alpha chapters were established at other colleges and universities, many of them historically black institutions, soon after the founding at Cornell. The first alumni chapter was established in 1911. While continuing to stress academic excellence among its members, Alpha also recognized the need to help correct the educational, economic, political, and social injustices faced by African Americans. Alpha Phi Alpha has long stood as the forefront of the African American community's fight for civil rights through leaders such as noted author and historian W.E.B. Du Bois, Congressman Adam Clayton Powell Jr., Senator Edward Brooke, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall, Ambassador Andrew Young, Congressman William Gray, entertainer Paul Robeson, journalist Roland Martin, ESPN sports commentator the late Stuart Scott, and many others. True to its form as the first of first, Alpha Phi Alpha has been interracial since 1945. And whereas the men of Alpha are committed to making this world a better place to live, in 1998, Congress authorized and the President approved Alpha Phi Alpha's request to build a memorial on the Mall in Washington, D.C. to honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., one of Alpha's most distinguished members. And whereas January 6, 2015 is the celebration of 26 years of Clayton County's chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Inc. Pi Gamma Lambda. Since being chartered on December 6, 1989, and now seated in Morrow, Georgia, the Pi Gamma Lambda chapter has strengthened and developed strong bonds throughout Clayton County. Some of their events include a Thanksgiving dinner for needy families, the Go to High School, Go to College program, a mentor program for Chi Epsilon, their undergraduate chapter seated at Clayton State University, and domestic violence awareness seminars. And whereas, keeping within the true spirit of the fraternity, in 2009, Pi Gamma Lambda was the first to donate and deed the chapter's historical papers, pictures, and artifacts to the Auburn Avenue African American Research Library. Members of the chapter will commemorate their anniversary on Sunday, January 11, 2015, at New Day Covenant Ministries, located at 5393 North Parkway, Lake City, Georgia, 30287. Now, therefore, I, Sona Singleton Gregory, Commissioner, on behalf of the Clayton County Board of Commissioners, ask all citizens to join in recognizing the tremendous contributions of Pi Gamma Lambda and to honor the groundbreaking history of Alpha Phi Alpha, the nation's first African American intercollegiate fraternity. And witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of Clayton County, Georgia, to be affixed this 6th day of January in the year 2015. Sona F. Singleton Gregory, Commissioner. We will now have a presentation by the Silverman Group with regards to the animal control building design located on Anvil Block Road.
Mr. Silverman.
Commissioners, it's a very exciting day. We're here to present to you a progress report and a presentation of the work that we've done. In that regard, Silverman Construction Program Management, as your project manager for the animal control facility, is pleased to present tonight a design package that represents the hard work to get to tonight's presentation. In order to help expedite the process, we are presenting here a proposed exterior building renovation, a proposed floor plan, exterior elevations, a site plan. We're going to show you a computer model of the building exterior in a Revit. I didn't know what Revit meant before tonight. I do now. That allows us to view the proposed building design from all sides and also to make some cuts through the building to show a 3D concept of the interior. We also have included an outline specification narrative covering all of the building systems, a detailed building cost estimate prepared by a general contractor, a detailed list of assumptions and clarifications, an overall project budget, and a schedule prepared by Silverman. This package of information has been reviewed by Silverman Construction Program Management and the project team, including the county staff, for its completeness, its accuracy, comprehensive understanding of the project needs, and the budget available. Silverman Construction feels quite confident, based on the entire team's interaction and our extensive experience, that this is an excellent depiction of the project's finished product and estimated cost. The budget is tight and our contingency is low, but the team has been and will continue to build this very important and very needed project within the budget available and in accordance with the design documents and estimates contained herein. Let me walk you through, and I do want to tell you that I know that you think that I'm the best looking one of the group, but I'm not. But I did bring our project team here, and I want to introduce them to you. Teresa Sword, our senior project manager with Silverman Construction. George Fergulis, who is a principal with Pond and Company. Amy Suman, a senior estimator with Hogan Construction. And Andrew Silverman, assistant project manager on the project. What you have here is the outside rendering. And if you have any questions, the team is here to answer them for you. This is a rendering of the exterior. We have put together what we think is a very inviting and welcoming facility. This has a facility, you'll see more portions of it. The initial design requirements that we had was that this needed to be an open and inviting building. It needed to be a safe environment for the animals. We needed to figure out a way how to increase adoption. And we needed a clean environment for the care of the animals. Let's go to the floor plan. This floor plan represents a 24% increase in the number of animals that you can care for here. We do have, I think, let me borrow that laser if I may. How am I doing on time? We do have here the entry point. You saw that in the rendering. It's a very dynamic entrance. As people come in, they will be able to see on this side is the dog adoption area, which is open. There are no walls from the entry to the adoption. And we have on this side the cat adoption. In addition, the floor plan contains, and I should mention that Pond and Company has done numerous animal facilities like this, so they're experts. And in addition, we brought in for the county an expert from Texas who is nationally renowned in his expertise of this area. We do have some really neat applications here. For instance, a dog bonding and a cat bonding area, exterior as well as an interior. We do have the appropriate amenities in terms of workroom and the control officer space for them to work. And we have contained this building all in a very durable, I won't say maintenance-free, because no building is maintenance-free, but a very durable. All of these interior walls are concrete block with an epoxy paint and a very high class. This is a really modern building. I think that's important to say. With the durability to maintain the quality of this building for a long, long time. From a standpoint of schedule, we intend to go forward to the construction documents. We intend to submit the permit drawings in mid-May. The GMP will be submitted in the 1st of July. We'll start construction no later than, I hope, end of July, and the project will be complete in March of 2016. Let's take a look at this 3D model, this Revit. This shows a 3D application of what the facility looked like. And George, if you want to say anything relevant to this, please do. This area here, why don't you walk us through? I'm concerned about time, but why don't you go ahead and walk us through?
We have a few minutes. So, as you're pulling up to the drive, you come in from this direction. So you're going to see this corner first. This corner right here first.
He needs to be on mic.
We've developed the entry to be very recognizable, and also to be.
Excuse me, could you take the mic, please?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
We've developed the entry to be very recognizable for the adoption area, and it's separate from where animals are dropped off. There is also a drive around to the back to a sally port where animal control vehicles will be taken. But the main thing that we've accomplished here is a very commercial, open area for people to come and adopt animals. There's a circular flow around the adoption area. The windows are kept low so children can see in to see the animals. There is, like you said, interior and exterior bonding areas. And then going to the back of house, we've made every effort to minimize the cross-contamination between kennel spaces and to keep the kennel spaces as safe as possible with the epoxy coating, separate drains, not only safe for the dogs but also safe for the people that work there. We've got a surgical suite that will handle spade and neutering, also an isolation area for any dogs that might have, and then all the necessary support areas to carry out the mission of this building.
We think that the operational aspects of this have all been maintained. The design is what we heard and what has been incorporated into the project, and we look forward to go forward.
My question, Arnie, were you finished? I'm sorry. My question is, I mentioned earlier to Chief Cohilas, on the board here, it looks like a green awning or whatever, green is trim, but
Go
on
back to the
the
rendering.
presentation, it was kind of blue.
Yeah.
And what I suggested, like whatever colors to fit better in the tad, even though that's not in the tad, but to kind of go along with the tad over there. I don't know. Is that possible?
Absolutely. And this is a process right now. We wanted to give you a progress report as to where we were, the progress that we've made, and how far we've come, and how ready we are to get to the next stage. We are certainly open to a lot of the discussions, and we've had some further discussions, and the design team and the county staff are going to work with us to make this. This does look like a blue. I will share with you, yesterday it was a green. Tomorrow it could be, just because it's a computer.
What color are you
What
asking?
color would you?
Red? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No. No, just whatever. If you look at, like, I guess the Walmart is in the little shopping center over there would
Yep.
probably be your best buildings to just look at to try to get something to coordinate. Just
Good point.
something that'll go in line with it.
Commissioner, the reason for the blue is to match. It's a police blue, and this is near the police precinct that we wanted to kind of tie in those two buildings.
So the police stuff is blue. That building got blue and all that. Oh. Okay.
What material is being used in the lighter color?
This is, we are proposing, and we've been discussing, it's been priced, that this is a brick, and this is a cementitious type of a stucco appearance above it. But we're doing brick at the low areas for maintenance purposes, and then stucco above, stucco-like above.
And let me just add that they were working with a very, very tight budget. And we had to change up some of the building materials to accommodate that budget. So they did a tremendous job in terms of putting this together and getting the resources that's needed to build it out. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions from any other board members?
About how much of the land does this take up, with the building, parking lot and everything?
Total construction area is about 5 to 6 acres, but
Okay.
total, once it's finished, it'll take up 4 acres.
Thank you.
I only have one comment or consideration to ask of. Talking about the parking, I know there's some space there. I've got 27 door dings in my SUV from narrow parking slots. And I don't intend to be picking up and dropping out dogs at this, but as people are dropping off or adopting dogs, and a lot of vehicles are of different widths, I know the county has some minimum parking lane requirements, but doors open with kids and dogs jumping in, would it be practical to consider making those parking lanes a foot or two wider?
Definitely, I mean, we're
Since
not,
we got the
we
land.
don't have a site constraint. The constraint at
Right.
this point is just
Budget.
cost. Cost for-
Candidly, you know, to add a foot for the different spaces adds that much more asphalt. We obviously have designed this to meet the requirements that make sense. We can certainly look at that, to see what can be done. And I know in parking lots and developers all think about that, and because we all suffer from those doors banging, unfortunately. Chief, something you want to say? No, okay.
Yeah, what's the
But I
capacity?
hear your point, and I'm not gonna park next to you.
Commissioner Hamburg.
Yeah, what's the capacity of this building as opposed to the building now?
I'm
About
sorry,
the
I
number
didn't
of
hear what you.
kennels.
Yes.
What's the
What was the
increase in
que-
number of kennels?
It's a
24%.
24% increase. It went to 130.
It basically went from around 100 to 133 animals.
I have one more question too. Are we just dealing with the building right now? Early on in the discussions of the Animal Control Center, there was talk about, you know, the grounds being family friendly, you know, doggy parks. Has that part, maybe the chiefs could, has that part been scrapped? Or are we just dealing right now with just the actual building itself? Or is that gonna come later or?
Good evening, Commissioner. To your question, I don't think we've gotten that far into the conversation.
Okay.
I think Chairman Turner made some mention about expanding in the future, but right now we're just trying to look at those three sites, the rec center, well, the senior citizen center, the PD, and the animal control.
Okay, so in doing this building, Arnie, I mean, are we even kind of taking in consideration that that might happen to have some extra space where if there's an area to do the little trails or the little doggy or animal parks or whatever?
We have up on the boards, and it's in the materials that you have, and you can see it perfectly with the light that we have here, I'm
Okay.
sure. We do have here the overall master plan, and the careful consideration has been given to the police and to the animal control for the future development of that parcel, to include some of the amenities that you've mentioned.
Thank
And
you.
we'd love to be the project manager to do it.
And one of the things we looked at in particular was the dog park.
Yes.
So,
Okay, thank you.
The chief reminded me of several things since I didn't follow my notes, and I know I'm out of time, but can I have 30 seconds?
Quick.
One, I think it's very important, the intake area for people to bring their animals to, it is separate from the main entrance, which is, I think, a very important point.
We don't want to expose general public to
Exactly.
a dog that someone is dropping off.
And,
as well as
and that is done right here, is that not right, George?
Correct.
Right in there, so that is separate from the main entrance, which we thought was a good thing to do. Was there anything else that I missed, team?
Just the fact that the main parking lot for this will be the parking lot for or adjacent to the dog park. So if you have somebody taking their dog there, they may get the itch to adopt another dog. So kind of
We really do want to
Helps.
stress that. And we think that this floor plan and the way that this adoption area works very well, and will be very, very public. We'll be more inclined to adopt the dogs.
all right, any other questions from board members? Thank you, sir, for your
Thank you.
presentation. I know we've been trying and getting on each other's nerves for a little while, but we're to a good point. So thank you and your team. Madam Clerk.
The board will now consider requests of Ramona Thurman Bivens of Central Services.
Please take them together.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. I have 6 items for your consideration this evening. The first item is SPLOST Construction Management at-Risk Services for construction of the multipurpose fire training building, consent of assignment. The Board of Commissioners approved awarding this project to the Potts Company Incorporated on October 1st, 2013. Due to the restructuring of the organization from an S corporation to an LLC, this request is for a name change from the Potts Company Incorporated to the Potts Company LLC. The second item is fencing installation for Clayton County Senior Services Department. The recommendation is to award a contract in the amount of $13,322 to McIntyre Corporation, doing business as McIntyre Fencing, the lowest responsive bidder meeting specifications. Funding is available through the 2011 HUD funds. Item number 3 is purchase of TouchPrint 5300 scanner system with accessories for court administration in the Sheriff's Office. The recommendation is to approve the purchase of 2 TouchPrint scanner systems with accessories in the amount of $57,335 from Saffron Morpho Trust USA by utilizing the General Services Administration Contract Schedule GS-35F-0242R. Funding is available through the Court Technology Funds and the Sheriff's Office's General Fixed Asset Funds. Item number 4 is purchase of vehicles for the Clayton County Police Department. Central Services' recommendation is to approve the purchase of 3 new vehicles in the amount of $56,536 by utilizing the State of Georgia statewide contract with Allen Vigil Ford. The vehicles are 2 2014 Ford F-150 1/2-ton regular cab and 1 2015 Ford F-150 1/2-ton regular cab. Funding is available through the 2015 SPLOST bond proceeds. Item number 5 is RFQ for fence installation for Clayton County Parks and Recreation Department. The recommendation is to award a service contract in the amount of $9,376.50 to McIntyre Corporation, doing business as McIntyre Fencing, for the material and installation of fencing surrounding the playground at International Park. Funding is available through the department's general operating funds account. The last item is CS STARS Statement of Work number 3 for Clayton County. The recommendation is to renew the contract with CS STARS LLC from December 11, 2014 to December 10, 2015. This will be the final renewal of the contract previously executed by the chairman on December 11, 2012. Funding is available through the Risk Management's General Operating Fund. I request the board approve the recommendations as presented, authorize the chairman or his designee to execute all documents necessary to accomplish the intent of the contracts, and to authorize the chief financial officer to amend the budget accordingly.
All right, do I have a motion? I'll make the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Properly moved and second. Are there any questions on any of the items? Hearing none. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item, the board will consider a request of Ramona Thurman Bivens, Chief Financial Officer.
Take them together, please.
Okay, I have 5 items. I have 3 budget amendments and 2 requests for refunds. The first budget amendment is 2-13 for other general government. It's to replace 1 vehicle for the district attorney's office where repair cost exceeds the value of the vehicle in the amount of $30,000. Budget Amendment 2-14 is for drug abuse treatment and education funds. This is to amend the budget for additional revenues and to establish a budget for probation services for drug testing contracts in the amount of $17,618. Budget Amendment 2-15 is for the prison. It's to amend in revenues received from the State Department of Transportation Road Maintenance Agreement for the purchase of new mowers. The amount is $34,634. We have a request for a refund in the amount of $80 payable to Letitia Williams, JP and Family Used Tires, for the purpose of refunding fees associated with the business license application for JP and Family Used Tires located at 1633 Stockbridge Road in Jonesboro, Georgia. The use of the location does not meet zoning requirements and was denied. However, the applicant was inadvertently advised the use would be approved by a previous consultant. The final item is a request for a refund in the amount of $2,025 made payable to Mr. Merchant Gangwani, doing business as La Casa Food Mart, for the purpose of refunding the alcohol retail license fees paid by Mr. Gangwani to the Community Development Department. The applicant was not approved to receive an alcohol retail license based on non-recommendation by the Clayton County Police Department.
Do I have a motion?
So move, Mr. Chair.
Is there a second?
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any questions on any other items? Hearing none, those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Board will now consider a request of Renee Bright, Director of Human Resources.
I have one item tonight, and the request is from Judge Ferguson to eliminate 4 part-time positions and use those funds to add 2 full-time clerk positions. Currently, probate court consists of 13 full-time positions and 10 part-time positions. As you can see, they rely heavily on their part-time staff to perform what should be full-time positions and duties. They've had a number of vacant part-time positions in 2014. With an average of 110 days, the position remained vacant each time. There's currently a 2-month backlog for weapon carry licenses, and one of these new full-time positions would be assigned to that division to assist with the processing of the license in a timely manner. Another area in need is the estate division, and currently each estate clerk has between 60 and 90 cases assigned to them. And these clerks must be well-trained and versed in the estate law as they serve all parties involved in those cases. We believe that by eliminating the 4 part-time positions and creating 2 full-time positions, staff retention will increase and thereby improve productivity. The impact of the request is $26,737, but I was just given information prior to the meeting from Finance that this basically will be a wash. They do have enough funds in their part-time budget and that would cover the cost.
All right, is there a motion? I'll make the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Properly moved and second. Are there any questions?
I have a question. According to Finance, it'll be a wash. Is that just for this first year because of a lapse due to vacancies, or is that an ongoing wash?
Commissioner Emerson, that is correct. It's just for this year only, will be a wash. Next year, there will be an incurred cost of $53,474.
So this is going to be an increase to personnel on an ongoing annualized basis of $53,000.
That is correct.
When is budget time? When are we doing the budget?
We're actually began discussing that. Dennis and I started talking about that this week.
Well, how
We'll
is this
begin the budget process meeting with the departments within the next 4 weeks.
Can this wait for budget talks?
Come up to the microphone, Judge Ferguson. Come up to the mic.
With part-time employees, we cannot function. We just can't. We have 300 days of part-time work. What we expect these people to do and what hours we give them and the pay, it's not working. It doesn't work. And we train them, we take time, we hire them, we have them work, and either within 2 months or 3 months, they're gone, either because they can't do the work or because they won't do the work. And then we start over again, and we can't function anymore.
I have another question. Ms. Thurman, can you speak to, we're halfway through the county's fiscal year. Can you speak to where we are fiscally? Could we absorb an annualized $53,000 increase for personnel, or are we already behind?
Mr. Cohelius and I had spoken about this earlier today, and we're going to work with Judge Ferguson during the budget process to see if we can come up with some reductions in other areas to cover this increase.
Are you suggesting that it would be best to wait until the budget process, or do you think we could make this decision now and y'all could work through that going forward?
After speaking with Chief Cohelius, he and I had discussed it with Judge Ferguson, and we said that we would go ahead, we were okay with going ahead approving it, but we would have to work with her to make some additional reductions in her budget to cover this additional increase for next year to have these full-time employees.
All right, and you say there's 13 employees that are full-time and
That
10
includes me.
and 10 part-time? Is that what is? So there's a total of 23, including you. All right, I don't have any further questions.
How is this different from our Parks and Recreation Department and also our senior services? Who have, not you, I mean, to our CFO?
Our clerks have to do more work than the state and superior court because probate court is responsible for service. So service is different from each of these. When you file a probate, whether you live in Georgia, whether you don't live in Georgia, there's a lot of different things that clerks are required to do and required to understand. And we can't get quality people to work for these hours part-time.
I hear the same thing from Parks and Rec and also from senior services because they have a lot of part-time. And I'm sure there are some other departments like that too. But just a question. I'm just trying to find out how this is different than just waiting on the budget process to make sure that the money is there. You know, I know you say this year, but we have other years.
Our goal was to give the board the information, to give them, so they would have all the information they need to make a decision on whether to approve the positions or not.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, could she please state her name for the record?
I'm Judge Ferguson, Pam Ferguson.
Commissioner Edmondson, you have something?
Yes, sir. Using round numbers, half of your staff is part-time. Help me understand, if you could, how it got to be that, or if that is completely different than the other courts, because I don't, maybe, is that normal?
For the past 10, 20 years, we've asked for a full-time person, they gave us a part-time person. So that's happened. We'll give you 2 part-time people, we'll give you 2 part-time people. Now, whether y'all did that with other departments, it's probably true. But when we went from reducing the hours, it became unworkable. I mean, we got to the point where we can't function. We have 3 vacancies right now. And with, as you can see, that's a good chunk for the small staff that we have.
Any other questions? All right, it's been properly moved and second. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
4-1 with Commissioner Hambrick
Thank you
opposed.
so much.
The board will now hear and consider requests of Christy Barnes, Chief Staff Attorney.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Take them together, please.
First is Resolution Number 2015-1, which is a resolution providing for the designation of persons authorized to sign checks on the bank accounts of Clayton County, to authorize the clerk to furnish the depositories of Clayton County public funds with a copy of this resolution together with the required specimen signatures, to provide an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes. Resolution number 2015-2 is a resolution prescribing the depositories of public funds for Clayton County, to provide an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes. Resolution number 2015-3 is a resolution providing for the authorization of the Chief Financial Officer to deposit Clayton County funds into the local government investment pool, to authorize the Chairman and the Chief Financial Officer to execute any document necessary to carry out the intent of this resolution, to provide an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes. Resolution number 2015-4 is a resolution providing for the designation of persons authorized to sign checks on a bank account of Clayton County, to authorize the clerk to furnish the depositories of Clayton County public funds with a copy of this resolution together with the required specimen signatures, to provide an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes, and specifically this pertains to the individuals within the District Attorney's Office authorized to sign checks on the Witness Transportation Arrangements account. Resolution number 2015-5 is a resolution providing for the designation of the Vice Chairman for the Board of Commissioners, to provide for the term of office of the Vice Chairman, to provide an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes.
Mr. Chairman, can I, at this point, go ahead and make a recommendation that we appoint Commissioner Gail Hambrick as the next Vice Chairman?
Is there a second to that motion?
I second that.
Properly moved and second. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Okay.
Proceed on.
Congratulations, Ms. Vice Chair.
Thank you.
Resolution number 2015-6 is a resolution to provide for an increase in the level of compensation payable to the chairperson and members of the Clayton County Civil Service Board for services rendered in their official capacities, to authorize the chairman to perform all acts necessary to accomplish the intent of the resolution, to authorize the chief financial officer to amend the budget where necessary to reflect an appropriate revenue source and expense, all as may be required, to provide an effective date of this resolution, to repeal conflicting resolutions, and for other purposes.
Can we
Ms.
discuss?
Barnes, am I in order to ask the question now, or do we need to wait?
Yeah.
We're supposed to make a motion and second.
Make a motion
All
after we
right,
go
okay.
through it,
Because
then
I
we'll
have a
come back to
question
it.
on that.
Okay.
So read on, please.
Going straight through, okay. Resolution 2015-7 is a resolution authorizing Clayton County to accept a seized vehicle pursuant to a Clayton County Superior Court order of forfeiture and disposition of property, to authorize assignment of such vehicle to the Sheriff's Office fleet, to authorize the Chief Financial Officer to amend the budget where necessary to reflect an appropriate revenue source and expense, to provide an effective date of this resolution, and for other purposes. This is for a 2003 Infiniti I-35. Resolution number 2015-8 is a resolution authorizing Clayton County to grant a special facility use request for Twirl Girls Incorporated to conduct the Twirl Girls Camp at the Virginia Burton Gray Recreation Center, to authorize the chairman and the director of the Parks and Recreation Department to execute any documents necessary and otherwise perform all acts necessary to accomplish the intent of this resolution, to provide an effective date of this resolution, and for other purposes. Resolution number 2015-9 is a resolution authorizing Clayton County to accept in-kind donations of services and supplies from the Home Depot in Morrow, Georgia, to enhance various parks and facilities throughout Clayton County, to authorize the chairman and the director of the Parks and Recreation Department to perform all acts necessary to accomplish the intent of this resolution, to provide an effective date of this resolution, and for other purposes. Resolution number 2015-10 is a resolution authorizing Clayton County to enter into an agreement with CGI Communications Incorporated, providing for the terms and conditions under which county showcase videos will be produced to promote the county, to authorize the chairman to execute the agreement, and otherwise to perform all other acts necessary to accomplish the intent of the resolution, to provide an effective date of this resolution, and for other purposes. Resolution number 2015-11 is a resolution authorizing Clayton County to accept grant funds from the Kaiser Health Foundation of Georgia Incorporated on behalf of the Clayton County Fire and Emergency Services Department to be used to purchase needed equipment for the Community Paramedicine Program, to authorize the chairman to accept the grant funds and otherwise to perform all acts necessary to accomplish the intent of this resolution, to authorize the chief financial officer to amend the budget where necessary to reflect an appropriate revenue source and expense, all as may be required, to provide an effective date of this resolution, and for other purposes. These are grant funds in the amount of $48,500. Resolution number 2015-12 is a resolution authorizing Clayton County to accept a grant from the Federal Emergency Management Agency Pre-Disaster Mitigation Program in the amount of $40,000 on behalf of Clayton County Fire and EMS, to authorize the chairman to accept the grant on behalf of Clayton County and to execute any documents necessary and otherwise perform all acts necessary to accomplish the intent of this resolution, to authorize the chief financial officer to amend the budget where necessary to reflect an appropriate revenue source and expense, all as may be required, to provide an effective date of this resolution, and for other purposes. Resolution number 2015-13 is a resolution authorizing Clayton County to purchase real property from Hamilton State Bank in connection with the historic Rex Village Trail project, to authorize the chairman to execute the closing documents and otherwise perform all acts necessary to accomplish the intent of the resolution, to authorize the chief financial officer to amend the budget where necessary to reflect an appropriate revenue source and expense, all as may be required under the terms of the closing documents, to provide an effective date of this resolution, and for other purposes. Resolution number 2015-14 is a resolution authorizing Clayton County to enter into a lease agreement with Metro South Association of Realtors Education Foundation Incorporated, to authorize the chairman to execute the agreement and to perform all other acts necessary to accomplish the intent of this resolution, to authorize the chief financial officer to amend the budget where necessary to reflect an appropriate revenue source and expense, all as may be required, to provide an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes. This is for a lease for Community Development's HUD Division to be located at 1671 Adamson Parkway in Morrow, Georgia. Resolution number 2015-15 is a resolution authorizing Clayton County to enter into certain construction agreements and an easement for the installation of electric distribution service with Georgia Power Company, to authorize the chairman to execute the agreements on behalf of the county, and otherwise to perform all acts necessary to accomplish the intent of the resolution, to authorize the chief financial officer to amend the budget where necessary to reflect an appropriate revenue source and expense, all as may be required under the terms of the agreements, to provide an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes. Resolution number 2015-16 is a resolution to amend the Clayton County PY 2012, 2013, and 2014 annual action plans to allow for the recapture and reuse of funding for projects supported by the Community Development Block Grant, Home Investment Partnership, and Emergency Solutions Grant programs, and emergency solution grant programs, to authorize the chairman to execute any necessary documents and otherwise to perform any acts necessary to accomplish the intent of this resolution, to authorize the chief financial officer to amend the budget where necessary to reflect appropriate revenue sources and expenses, all as may be required, to provide an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes. Resolution number 2015-17 is a resolution authorizing Clayton County to enter into a stipulation and agreement in the matter of Franklin Geiger versus County Board of Commissioners before the State Board of Workers' Compensation for the State of Georgia, to authorize the chairman or his designee to execute the agreement and otherwise to perform all acts necessary to accomplish the intent of this resolution, to authorize the chief financial officer to amend the budget where necessary to reflect an appropriate revenue source and expense, all as may be required under the terms of the agreement, to provide an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes. Resolution number 2015-18, similarly, is a resolution authorizing Clayton County to enter into a stipulation and agreement in the matter of Annette R. Harris versus County Board of Commissioners before the State Board of Workers' Compensation for the State of Georgia, to authorize the chairman or his designee to execute the agreement and otherwise to perform all acts necessary to accomplish the intent of this resolution, to authorize the chief financial officer to amend the budget where necessary to reflect an appropriate revenue source and expense, all as may be required under the terms of the agreement, to provide an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes. Resolution number 2015-19 is a resolution authorizing Clayton County to exercise its powers of eminent domain in accordance with provisions of Georgia laws for the purpose of acquiring certain property for use by the Clayton County Department of Transportation and Development for the Flint River Road Widening Project, to authorize the chairman to execute any documents relating thereto, and to otherwise perform all acts necessary to accomplish the intent of this resolution, to authorize the chief financial officer to amend the budget where necessary to reflect an appropriate revenue source and expense, to provide an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes. This is for 101 Flint River Road. Resolution number 2015-20 is a resolution authorizing Clayton County to exercise its powers of eminent domain in accordance with provisions of Georgia laws for the purpose of acquiring certain property for use by the Clayton County Department of Transportation and Development for the Royce Drive at Flint River Tributary Bridge Project, to authorize the chairman to execute any documents relating thereto, and to otherwise perform all acts necessary to accomplish the intent of this resolution, to authorize the chief financial officer to amend the budget where necessary to reflect an appropriate revenue source and expense, to provide an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes. This is for 8305 Attleboro Drive and 8311 Attleboro Drive. Resolution number 2015-21 is a resolution authorizing Clayton County on behalf of the Clayton County Department of Transportation and Development to purchase stream and wetland mitigation credits related to the Flint River Road Widening Project, to authorize the chairman to execute all documents necessary to accomplish the intent of this resolution, to authorize the chief financial officer to amend the budget where necessary to reflect an appropriate revenue source and expense, all as may be required, to provide an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes. Resolution number 2015-22 is a resolution authorizing Clayton County to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with Fayette County for certain Helmer Road Bridge repairs and maintenance activities, to authorize the chairman to execute the agreement and to otherwise perform all acts necessary to accomplish the intent of this resolution, to authorize the chief financial officer to amend the budget where necessary to reflect an appropriate revenue source and expense, all as may be required, to provide an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes. And then resolution number 2015-23 is a resolution authorizing Clayton County to amend its professional services agreement with Georgia Public Affairs, LLC, providing for the terms and conditions under which lobbyist services will be rendered to the county, to authorize the chairman to execute the agreement and otherwise to perform all acts necessary to accomplish the intent of this resolution, to authorize the chief financial officer to amend the budget where necessary to reflect an appropriate revenue source and expense, all as may be required under the terms of the agreement, to provide an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes. And resolution number 2014-24 is a resolution by the Clayton County Board of Commissioners identifying certain state legislative matters to be addressed during the 2015 legislative session of the Georgia General Assembly, to authorize the chairman to perform all acts necessary to accomplish the intent of this resolution, to provide an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes. And finally is a request for remission in the matter of State of Georgia versus Tisha Marie Alexander and free at last bail bonds surety in the amount of $1,757.
All right, do we have a motion? I'll make the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Probably moved in second. Are there any questions?
Yes.
Commissioner Hambrick.
On 2015-6, regarding the compensation for civil service board members, what is the amount that they receive now, monthly?
Monthly. For the regular meeting, the members receive $300 a month for that meeting. The chairman receives $325, and then they receive $25 for each additional meeting that month.
Okay. And sometimes, about how many meetings are there a month when
How
they're?
many extra meetings?
Yes.
They typically have one extra meeting a month right now. So they meet.
But I do know sometimes that they've had 3-4 meetings a month.
There have been cases,
Yes.
Particularly before we implemented some changes to our procedures. We had cases that lasted 3 or 4 or 5 days. And so there were some months where, yes, they did have many extra meetings.
I just have a suggestion of, I don't mind the increase, but maybe $50 instead of $100, because we have board members in some of these other boards that we have that only receive a $50 compensation. And we also have some boards that
Don't
are
receive anything.
volunteers.
Well, if I'm correct, they made that recommendation. Well, actually, it was higher than that, but we came down off of that, and they agreed to 100.
They who agreed?
The
Board members?
because they had to adopt it.
Oh,
So, as far as them recommending something
Oh,
to this
okay.
board,
okay.
so they wanted more than what
Y'all wanna
what
do
we're
50?
putting it here.
I don't want to increase it at all.
I don't
Well,
either.
But
'cause
one thing
it's
you got to
service.
understand is that we have a severe backlog of
I
civil service
understand.
cases. Some date
Which
back.
could mean 3 or 4
2
meetings
years.
a week or a month,
Well, we have to do something because when we have.
But if you're
Are you
giving
saying
100
that we're not
backlog-
paying
hold
them
on a
enough to
second,
show
hold on
up?
a second. When we have a backlog of 2 years and civil service chooses to or votes to reinstate that person, then not only are we hit with back pay for that individual, but a number of times we have to reinstate them as well. And 2 years, back pay adds up. So we need to expedite the process and try to do something to mitigate the number of cases on the backlog. And that's the recommendation that they gave us or asked for, and that's why we're at this point here. Commissioner Evans.
A couple of thoughts and a question. The question first, are you suggesting that they'll work harder if we pay them more?
No, I didn't imply that at all.
So what difference would a pay increase have to do with them getting to that backlog faster?
Maybe you missed my point when I said that they recommended that they get the additional pay, and I brought it before the board. I did not imply that I asked for it.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm trying to, okay. Are they suggesting that they could work faster if we pay them more?
Did they tell you that?
No, sir, they didn't suggest that they could work faster. They believe that they should be fairly compensated for the work that they are putting forth.
But it's
All
not
right, hold on,
really
I got like two more
compensation.
things. So another question is, and who would know this? How much does a jury get? A person to go to jury duty, $25 a day, $10 a day? $25 a day. So our civil service board is being paid the same amount for someone who shows up to jury duty, except this is a voluntary appointment. Now, civil service board has the authority to bind us to things that cost us money, right? They can overrule our decisions. I should think we would want people who are willing to spend their days, whether it's 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 days a month, hearing these cases that are competent enough to make the decisions that have financial bearing on us. Now, if you ask me to sit there on a voluntary basis for $25 a day, I don't know how much patience I had to do that several times a month. Jury, I have to. But maybe we do want to consider paying them more in order to get the caliber of person who's willing to spend the time.
Well, how much are they being paid now?
$25.
$25 for the additional.
No, but a month,
$300.
not counting the additional.
$300 for the first meeting, then 25. So
$300 a month.
$325 if they met for two days.
Okay.
Any other questions on this item?
Not on that item.
Commissioner Gregory, you had,
I have something.
Do you
on
want
another
to change
item.
it to 50? I mean, I don't get the impression there's votes to do 100. Would there be votes to do 50?
I don't like
Well, I'm not
100
increasing.
either. I mean, it's about service too. I mean, that's a lot of work we're doing up here. I just don't think we can pay people to do that job. And it's really, I thought we always looked at it as more of a stipend, and you're really not compensating them.
so what's
And-
the pleasure of the board?
I'd do 50 if you think that the votes are there.
Vote it up or down?
Are you making a motion to change it?
Well, I'm trying to get some bearing from this board if it's even worth doing that, although I don't get that it is, so I guess not.
Okay, well, we will go from there. Are there any other questions on any other items?
Yes.
Go ahead.
It's another item, though. It's not on that item.
No, I have another item too, but I
Okay.
can wait.
Okay, on, I believe it's 23. Resolution 23, one of the new ones I think we have. Regarding the lobbyists. Okay, now, if I recall, we have another lobbyist active.
That's
Now,
correct.
what are we gonna do about that if this passes? Are we gonna be paying 2 again, or how are we gonna handle that?
I thought we only had one lobbyist.
We have contracts in place for Georgia Public Affairs and 12 Oaks.
Right.
I thought 12 Oaks expired because of the
That's still ongoing.
tax.
They being paid.
He's been paid.
They being paid.
It didn't expire, Commissioners. Remember, it was up to the chairman to terminate on behalf of this board with a 30 days notice,
Okay, so
and he
it's,
hasn't done that yet.
And I have not done so because I consulted with Mr. Hancock, who said that they are in active negotiations with the concessionaires in the city of Atlanta on getting that issue resolved.
Now, we talked about that in an executive session barely a month ago, and I don't believe active was the right adjective.
Well, I'm just saying what Mr. Hancock relayed to me.
even, that's in the litigation part of it, correct, Chairman?
Mm-hmm.
So why would we need a
No,
lobbyist?
they're in discussions. They're not in litigation. And I think they're close to an
Anybody
agreement.
want my opinion?
Get rid of them?
But if it's the will of the board, let me know.
So
Well-
is this resolution, I'm thumbing through it, Mr. Evans, is it saying to cancel?
This
That's what I was
resolution
looking for.
provides for for Georgia Public Affairs only, I had asked Ms. Barnes about, since we're not paying 12 Oaks, to take the $5,000 that we were supposed to be paying 12 Oaks and apply it so the $10,000 which we had collectively agreed to back when we started these things a year ago. I believe after consulting with the chairman, this resulting resolution excludes any considerations regarding 12 Oaks and just applies to Georgia Public Affairs.
Yes.
If you guys were interested in amending this to terminate 12 Oaks, I would be certainly open to those considerations.
I would,
I
considering.
would think we need to amend and cancel
Yeah.
12 Oaks.
I agree with that.
Okay.
Well,
I'd like to make a motion to amend Resolution 2015-23. The resolution amending the Georgia Public Affairs to include language to terminate the contract with 12 Oaks.
I'll second that.
All right, properly moved and second. Those in favor?
Effective with the
30 days
same dates.
notice.
And give written 30-day notice.
And give written 30-day notice consistent with the contract.
Okay.
That's your second.
I second, I'm sorry.
All right. Probably moved and second. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. And I'm voting nay based on the fact that they were still in some negotiations. It passes. Thank you.
I have another question concerning.
Look,
Did
wait.
we settle on,
It-
the Civil Service Board?
That was just a yay and
No,
nay
no.
to
Vote it up
amend.
or
Yeah,
down.
we'll vote on that item
Okay.
separate when we come
Okay.
to the rest of them.
Okay.
All right, Commissioner Gregory.
Okay. It's my understanding that our original contract with 12 Oaks, well, they were specifically supposed to work on House Bill 399, and did this, and with Georgia Public Affairs, our original contract, they were not to touch House Bill 399. So do we need to also kind of amend that? Because if they're going to be, if this passes and Georgia Public Affairs is our lobbyist, they may have to deal with some of these
I think that's a
things
good
that
idea.
the
Ms.
chairman
Barnes,
is
do we need
talking
to
about.
amend this to include any work or
Do it in 24. You have to.
24? Yeah, we would just do that in
As a
24 as
one
part of
their
the
legislative priorities.
right.
And
Okay, yeah, that's a good
Resolution
idea. Do it in
24
24.
also authorizes Georgia Public Affairs to present your list of priorities to the General Assembly. So it
good.
can be included, okay.
Okay.
Well, could we amend Resolution 2015-24 as proposed to include language on this slate of legislative matters to include any future dialogue regarding 299 and other matters
I was gonna say, and other matters.
and other matters
Something else
presented
comes
by
up.
this board?
And other matters.
It has, and any other general matters that may impact Clayton County.
Okay.
Perfect.
So then do we need to add that language since it does?
Well, the
say-
fact that it was specifically
You
itemized
just
last
want to
time
make
is
sure that you put it back in. I'm okay with that.
To include it in,
To the language, yes.
I have another question about another item, Mr.
Commissioner
Chairman.
Gregory.
About another, I want to go back to the item about the hiring the consultant to do the streaming and.
Yeah, me too.
Oh,
G-
yeah.
Oh, you-
Right,
G-
good.
have it right
Yeah,
here.
21510.
I have that one. I would ask that, seeing that we're getting ready to start over, hopefully with economic development, can we just hold that item and that all, once we get an economic development plan going, and let that be a part of it? Right now, it's still like, that's just kind of piecemealing it. I mean, what department would that be in?
No,
to
you're
monitor
not
it?
understanding what that is. Basically for them to come in free of charge to the county and put together a welcoming message
So that
that
we're
we
not
can
paying
use.
them for
Not a
anything for
dime,
that?
not a dime. And they use drones also to capture aerial shots of the county and some of our resources and, gems within our county that we can showcase, put on our website, use to send out to prospective businesses and so forth.
I will, in reading the contract, I thought it said they prepare it for free. They own the product.
And we can use it for non-commercial use only.
Right.
And I still go back to what
I
I was
agree with
saying
what they're saying.
economic development, until that all should be a package deal, and we're just, it's like that's a little piece here, a little piece there. If that's gonna be under, the TV station, then we need to know. If that's gonna be in economic development or part of the economic development plan,
Well,
then it
it's
needs to be
only,
there.
it's only one disc that they're producing, and there is nothing to be under.
Mr. I have a
Is that your
question.
understanding of the contract when you read it,
No.
Ms. Barnes?
What was your last statement, Mr. Chairman?
Was that your understanding as outlined by Commissioner Gregory when you reviewed the contract?
What was the last statement? What was the understanding?
What was my understanding?
Yes, I'm trying to.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm sorry, it wasn't you, it was Commissioner
Brooks.
About who would maintain ownership of the,
Well, it clearly says we don't own it.
that's right, they will
It says
maintain copyright.
we can edit it only a couple of times. I think 2 times we get to edit.
Resets.
Does it say 3 or 2?
Sets of
Says
provisions.
resets. But still, I'm with you.
3 times we get to edit it.
final approval.
There's not much say so as
Yeah,
to
it
the
does not say
content of it, who they talk to about the content of it. Even
Stored
if it's
on their servers, not
right,
ours.
it's on their servers. If it's our branding that we're concerned with, and I think we are, we're not giving as a board the opportunity to weigh in on the messaging. So even if it's free, it's just a publication that they've produced that they own, that they can do whatever they want with it,
For 3 years, and we cannot amend or terminate this for 3 years.
right?
I will add in that the county would receive the final approval. You would get the final draft, and then you would be able to,
We get it, but we don't own the intellectual
final
property.
No,
That
you will
is not ours.
you will not.
Commissioner Rooks, if you want to make a motion to take this off the agenda, I'll second it.
I move that we remove 21510 from the agenda.
I'll second that.
Those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, we had a previous motion on the floor, 2015-24, to amend it. Did Commissioner Edmondson still want to make that amendment?
I'm sorry, I thought we voted on that already.
No, we did.
No, we did not.
To
I'm
include-
sorry, yeah, I'm making the motion to include the language specific to 299 as well as any other matters brought by this board.
399.
399, excuse me, 399. In the
there a
form of a
second?
motion.
Is there a second?
Did you second?
Second.
So what?
You seconded before, sir?
Oh, didn't you second the
Yes, I
first
did,
time?
I'm
Right.
sorry, second. Yes.
All right, probably moving second. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
I have a question about 21514, the HUD lease. It's for 5 years, right? Are we certain we're going to continue to get HUD funding for the next 5 years?
Well, the track record for HUD doesn't seem like it's going to end anytime soon.
Okay. That was my only concern. If we were going to do a 5-year lease, if HUD funds are paying for the lease, if we didn't get the funding in the year 5, who's stuck paying for that? That was my only question. But if you're assuring us we're going to get HUD funding for the next 5 years,
Well, Commissioner, I can't guarantee what Congress will do. I can't guarantee what Congress will do. But the track record for that program, for what it does for the nation, I think I can bet but not guarantee.
So what this essentially does, it takes this money, for example, the $20,000 that the police left unclaimed in 2013 for code enforcement, that $20,000 will roll back into Clayton County's HUD program for another project? Or is this going back to HUD?
We are talking about two different things.
yeah, the lease on the building
The
for
leads,
HUD.
not the.
The rental.
Oh,
the
I'm
rental.
sorry, I thought you said 2016, you're talking about HUD, you're talking about
No,
metro
no.
brokers. I'm sorry, forget I said anything. I apologize.
And Commissioner, I'm not sure if it's all possible to consider that possibility in writing the lease, that if the host fund doesn't exist and the program doesn't exist,
Can we amend the lease
essentially,
that way?
can we amend the contract?
The end of the initial term, this lease shall automatically renew for 2 additional government terms, subject annually to adequate funding made to the tenant, to be determined at the sole discretion of the lessee, which is Clayton County. So it does include language now where it talks about, it's subject to annual sufficient funding.
From her, okay. That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jicky.
While you're up there, can I ask us to loop around questions? We're talking about something similar. On 2015-16, the CDBG HUD monies for the recapture and reuse, that is to be recaptured and reused within county for other CDBG funded projects, is that correct?
Yes.
It's not to go back to the state or the feds?
No.
Okay, that's all the clarity I wanted. Thank you.
Any other items to discuss? All right, Ms. Barnes, I hope you wrote down which ones. Let's vote on those except for.
6.
Which numbers are?
Number
6 is the only one.
6, 10, 14, and 23.
No.
23 and 24 have already been amended.
Okay.
23 and 24 have already been amended. 6
We need to vote separately.
needs to be voted separately altogether.
And 15 was removed.
10 is removed.
10 removed.
10 was removed. And I believe
So it's
that
just 6.
is
I mean,
it.
yeah, ups and downs, right?
Yeah.
So I believe 6 is the only one that needs to be voted on separately.
So do we need to make a motion to amend the motion to approve?
To approve them all, yes,
Okay.
to take this out as a separate resolution.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve all resolutions still on the table except for 2015-6.
Second?
Probably moved in second. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
And then 2015-6.
Okay. Is there a motion for 2015-6?
This is for the compensation payable to the Civil Service Board members.
Is there a motion?
So,
Is there a motion? All right, hearing none, fails due to the lack of a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I need an executive session for.
We haven't voted on the rest of the
Oh,
items.
The remissions. Do we have,
Oh, the order for
No,
remission.
the other items we haven't voted on. For the remaining of the items, we have a
Didn't we just
motion
do
and a
that?
second, no.
oh,
We never did vote, we stopped.
right, you're
So
right.
for the remaining of the items, we have a motion and a second. Those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. Go
Okay.
ahead.
And then we need a executive session for a personnel matter.
All right. Seeing no other business,
I do have something I wanted to just bring
We
up.
did the motion for rescission?
Since we don't have a
Did
pre-meeting
the motion for
anymore.
rescission?
The order for remission was included as a part of
the other items.
I had a chance to chat briefly with Commissioner Rooks yesterday, and I talked also separately with Larry Vincent. And so I'm bringing my thoughts to this board and Chief Cahill. With the departure of Grant Wainscott, this is really a great time for us to look at that department. Grant has some hits and he has some misses, and just like anything, I think we all can do better. I think, we need to consider expanding that department. Ms. Bourget brought up some great points on going forward, what to look for and so forth. Also, I think with the new director, we need to consider going back to that plan, that study that Georgia Tech, the previous board implemented from Georgia Tech. We need to look at going back into phase 2 so that we can move economic development in a different direction in this county. And with that said, I'd like to ask, what are the plans for moving ahead with Grant's departure and so forth?
Commissioner Gregory, that's one of the items we're speaking about in executive section.
Okay.
in terms of next step for that, to get the board's consensus on it.
Okay, and my next thing, y'all, the county is dirty. I recognize that the last couple of weeks, kids were out of school, and when the kids are out of school, the roads tend to get a little filthy. But I think we can do better. It's just, I mean, the main arteries. I recall one of the things that Warden Smith used to do, he would sometimes just ride around on those main arteries, especially those that led into our neighboring counties.
314.
We've got to do better. It just looks bad. I also want to throw out the idea to the board and Chief Cahilas. A few years ago, we did this thing called Pup Day, pick up paper. Maybe we can do something similar where we will engage citizens. Citizens will do this because we hear from them all the time. They want to help. Where each district commissioner and the chairman, we just pick a Saturday, we get a contest, who can pick up the most paper, and try to invite and encourage the children to be involved, make it a countywide initiative. I'm sorry? Same thing. Civic clubs, you know, just like tonight we had the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity here. We can engage them, but I just feel we have to do better. And I know, Warden, I know you can't do it all. I recognize that, and so therefore we've got to engage our citizens to take ownership and take pride in this county.
And Commissioner Gregory, I agree as well. And matter of fact, we had a pickup trash day on Terra Boulevard, the whole corridor, a couple of months ago, where we engaged the community, the civic groups, the faith-based business owners, and a lot of our personnel joined in also. So the effort is there. Of course, as you said earlier, we can do better in all that we do. So that will be a concerted effort that we will continue to do. So we look forward to each commissioner and the community joining in for this effort as well. So thank you for that. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
I'll second it. Properly moved and second. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you.